What's going on, guys? My name is Joe. This is the Duel Factory, and I am recording this on Thursday, but you'll see it on Friday, which is the day before YCS Columbus, which I will be attending. It's a Magnet Warrior deck profile. It's a pure Magnet Warrior deck profile, and it is something I had considered playing for the YCS. However, my group decided to play a different deck, but I wanted to profile this to you anyway, because one, I really like the Magnet Warrior deck, and when I was originally doing the YouTube channel and pumping out a lot more content, doing more deck profiles, playing more events, so on and so forth, I actually played it whenever the starter deck first came out, and I believe it was 2016. Yeah, it was 2016, and we had ABC, we had this. They both came out, and obviously the ABC structure deck was more popular and way more successful, but I really like the Magnet Warrior deck, and I was super excited whenever they got the support from, what was it? The set before I think, was it Burst Protocol? It might have been Burst Protocol. Let me read real quick. Yeah, Burst Protocol. So, super excited to play it, and Basham Saw was actually like a super underrated character in GX, and they're his Magnet Warriors. And I noticed Konami had a theme so far of decks getting Mathmech Circulars, but this one's this one has a Send 2, so that's pretty crazy. And I figure I'd go ahead and show it to you guys, and then we'll just go ahead and hop straight to it. So I'm playing Pure because I just like it better than the Fiendsmith. I had played the Fiendsmith. I do want to try the Ryziel build, but we'll get into that a little later. But to start off, you play 3 copies of the longest name in Yu-Gi-Oh! History, I think. It's pretty long. But this is Conduction Warrior Linear Magnum plus minus. So like I said, it's Mathmech Circular, but it sends 2, which is an insane effect. Also, this card has another ability where if it's destroyed, you get to add it back to hand, which works really well with your deck's natural synergies with its engine pieces and stuff like that, so it's really cool. It also has an effect where it can pump itself really big, so you can deal with big monsters really easy. And then other 1-card starters, you play 3 copies of Duotarion. Duotarion just adds any bonding spell or trap, which you have Magnet Bonding in this deck, which qualifies, and I also find it hilarious that the Legacy support for Water Dragon also works with the Legacy support for Magnet Warriors. To accompany this card too, I also play 1 copy of Infernal Punisher. Arguably, I did watch a lot of Lucas Sacco content, because he did a lot of Magnet Warrior stuff, and then started divulging into like a pile that I didn't really care for, so I just kind of stuck with like basic like lines and stuff like that. But all it does is adds a level 5 Water Dinosaur, which obviously you can see Duotarion fits the bill. You could also technically play it with I think it's Canine Hound, but I cut that card, but I still liked having the additional 1-card starter, so I kept it in the deck. That card arguably loses more to Droll, but it is what it is. And then the new card, Magnet Bonding. This card actually has 3 effects. 2 of them are insane, the other one's kind of whatever. You never really activate it, but it could come up. So it can add, it can only be activated in the main phase, so don't let anyone cheat on that one. But it can either add a level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior, or it can specifically add Conduction Warrior Linear Magnum plus minus. That's how, and that's best card in your decks, how most of your combos start. It can technically add a level 8 Magnet Warrior, but we don't really use that effect unless we're really down bad. Third effect, it can fusion summon a rock fusion monster using cards on your hand, field, graveyard, or banishment pile. So to think about it, it is a starter, it is a extender, and it is recursion. Card's insane. I did at one point play with Diagusa Emerald, with the theory being that you just never run out of cards. Found out that was way more, so we cut it. But you never know, you can play it again. And then last 1-card starter, which I think this is the worst one, but you still have to play it, which is Beta the Electromagnet Warrior. It came out of the original structure decks that had the retrains of Beta, Alpha, and Gamma. This one can be played with the modern stuff. It's just Stratos for Magnet Warriors. It also has another effect during your opponent's turn. You can tribute it, especially on a level 4 Magnet Warrior from your deck. Card effect's very relevant, comes up all the time. Problem with this is most of the time, if this is what you're starting with, it eats your normal summon. So you can't like normal summon cards like Pokemon Guardian and whatnot. But I think you still have to play it because the board's still impressive when you start with that. Then for some of the new Magnet Warriors that are not 1-card starters, but they're still pretty good, I play 2 copies of Sigma Minus. This is essentially Dracotel Femina, but it's not a quick effect. And it lets you fusion summon for a rock fusion using this card and any other cards in our hand field. Card's really cool. It also has another effect where if it's normal and special summon, it can send a level 8 Magnet Warrior. Some of your combo lines do that, so you can send Delusion. The card's it's very effective. And I was playing 3, but it used to clunk up your hands, even though like you could play 2 together and you can fuse together and still play. I wanted to cut one to make room for a second Sigma Plus, which originally I was playing one because I feel like it's a Garnet. But what I did find in this deck, your board is impressive, but sometimes it gets cracked fairly easy depending on what you're playing against. And you need the second one in deck to actually grind with your opponent. Plus, if your opponent has any inkling that you're only playing one of this, they will do everything they can to just get rid of it. And it turns off your Tolution, which is one of your best cards in your deck. We give you an excellent grind game. But Sigma Minus, when it goes to deck to grave, or it just goes to grave in general, I believe, it can special summon a Magnet Warrior from your graveyard. So it's part of your combo as well. And then and then I have 2 1 of Magnet Warriors. We play 1 Epsilon the Magnet Warrior. It is a Foolish Burial as a cost to change its name, and then if it does change its name, you can special summon 1 from your graveyard with a different name. Seems like a lot. Card's really good. Argument to play 2, but I've never felt the need to play 2. And then we also play 1 copy of Omega. Omega works really well with Conduction Warrior Linear Magnum. It can destroy a face-up rock or a rock monster in your hand to special summon itself. It banishes when it leaves the field if you summon it that way. Cool. I can add Conduction Warrior back to my hand. Second effect, when an Earth monster activates an effect, you contribute this card as a cost, target a monster on the field, and then set that card face down. Book of Moon effect's really relevant. We use it more for an extender than anything, but there are some combos and lines that you're doing or half boards where you summon it as an interruption. You do meet the requirement fairly easy because the main fusion monster you make makes everything Earth on the board. Really cool. Then your boss monster, which is Tolution the Magna Warrior. It is one of the weirdest boss monsters in the world. So, 1, you can only special summon it from the graveyard, and you have to special summon it by banishing Sigma Plus and Sigma Minus. Other effects is when let me read this real quick just to make sure I got this. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you can target a monster on the field and you destroy it. Bonus effect, if it's an Earth attribute monster, you can take control of it instead. That is a permanent take. Really, really cool versatile effects. During your opponent's turn, you contribute it. Special summon 2 Sigma monsters from your graveyard with different names. So it offers key point of interruption, and it also offers follow-up because it puts 2 4s on your board to start your turn. Really insane card. It just really sucks when you draw it, but you can get rid of it fairly easy. And then last, Magnet card. You have to play 1 copy of Magnet Induction. Your deck has a lot of 1-card starters, but if they're not Conduction Warrior Linear Magnum Plus Minus, you have to use that card to search it, and then you can't use the effect later in the turn to search Epsilon. But to mitigate that, you can make the fusion monster like you normally do in your combos, and instead of adding Magnet Bonding, you add Magnet Induction, which is it is E-Telly for a Magnet Warrior with a different name that you control. Therefore, you can keep playing. Really good effect, really powerful effect. And that's it for the actual Magnet cards themselves. Then we play 3 1 of engine requirements, I guess. So we play 1 copy of Quackmare Supplier. This was in the Lucas Sacco content before his deck divulged into a pile of God knows what. Really cool. It just wasn't what I wanted to play. But when a rock monster leaves the field, you can special summon it out of your hand. And then when this card, it's normal or special, I believe. You can special, if this card is special summoned, you can add a level 4 Quackimaru monster, I believe, or is it a rock? Quackimaru, or 1 card that mentions Iroquois Quackimaru from deck of your hand. So you can use this as an extender, and it also searches monster negate or spell negate, depending on what you decide. So I play the 1 copy of Quackimaru Guardian. And this is why I prefer the other 1-card starters versus beta, because it doesn't use your normal summon. So at your combo, you can get to Quackimaru Guardian, use its effect, search this, and then you ask your opponent if they have any quick effects or anything when they ask at that point, activate at that point. If they don't, you normal summon the Quackimaru Guardian, and it insulates you from Nib, which this deck has like a small problem against, depending on how you transition your lines. And you always have a rock monster reveal, because you're going to end with Conduction Warrior Linear Magnum Plus Minus in your hand. So it's a really cool synergy, really cool effect. And then your extra deck actually has quite a bit of room for like tech cards and stuff like that. So I play the Spriggans package, so I can play Therion King Regulus as an Omni Negate. Arguably, you could also play, what is it, Utopic Draco Future, I think it is. I think this is just better, though, because if you do the Draco Future line, you have to overlay the 2 4s instead of linking them, and I don't want to do that. I think this is just better. But that is it for basically engine requirements, starters, extenders, fun stuff. Now we got to go to non-engine with this room. This deck has a lot of room for non-engine. So we play the 1 copy of Nib. This is probably the most versatile non-engine. And I only say that because it's searchable in your combo depending on what you have already opened, right? We play 3 copies of Ash. You arguably do have plays around cards like Fua. Perulia kind of hurts in a way, which probably means this deck bad, but don't tell Lucas that. But you would rather just deal with the card, or if you get hand trap but feel you can deal with other cards, you like it as like a, not a backup plan, but a further way to insulate your board. We play 3 copies of Fua. You just want to this is a combo deck. Your deck is better when it sees more cards. We were also playing 2 copies of Bell in this deck. Now that Doom Z's been introduced, the Bells could probably be swapped out for Ogre, just depending on its popularity. But this is also a really good card too, so there's no argument to play both. And then we kind of play better breakers in this deck. They could change. Like, we're still playing Droplet, which maybe it's correct to play Droplet over Crown in the main deck, or maybe it's not. The only time will tell. I'll definitely be able to tell you after the YCS. But this deck, I don't want to say it has a hard time going second, but this card makes it a lot easier, especially since you have a lot of quick plays that you can activate. They go to do something, you can change this, send it to the graveyard. It just, I think it's a really good versatile card. We are playing Super Poly in this deck because we have room in our extra deck for Super Poly targets. Although, as of right now, I'm only playing the Mud Dragon and the Garura. You could probably play a different target like Sea Monster or Theseus or whatnot. And they can't really stop it, but I don't know if that's good enough. Plus, this card might come out of the main deck now just because Branded's going to be a very, very popular strategy. And maybe it was just because I thought our local players only play Archlord Christia, but I have seen people playing that card. And if they just summon Christia before I can play the game, I can't activate Super Poly. So that's probably coming out. And then I play 1 Called by the Grave. On to the extra, we play 2 of the new fusion. This is Conduction Warrior Plasma Magnum. So this card has a couple effects. So while it's face up on the field, all monsters become Earth attribute monsters. Insane effect. Second effect, you can send a Magna Warrior from your deck to the graveyard, which is what we do a lot. It lets you additional normal summon a level 4 lower Magna Warrior. That's where most of your combos lie, because what ends up happening is typically you add Magnet Bonding off of this, add Epsilon, use this effect, send to Illusion, summon Epsilon. You can also add Magnet Induction if you have to start with Magnet Bonding, so you can still do that play. But card has a lot of versatility, really like it. We play 1 copy of Flux Oceanfield. This is a really, really unique fusion. It can be made with a level 5 or higher Earth monster, and it can also be made in a 1 Rock monster. When it's fusion summoned, it can special summon a level... I think it's just any Rock monster, but let me read it real quick just to give you... Sorry, you can special summon a Rock monster. It doesn't have a level restriction from hand or graveyard. Broken effect. Other effect, you can target an Earth monster and 1 card your opponent controls and return them to the hand. So it offers extra body as an extender. It offers interruption. It's also kind of big too. It's only 600. It's also level 7. That will come up, especially if you play like the Fiendsmith variant where you're like overlaying 7s or Draco Sack and stuff like that, but so on and so forth. You play a decent amount of XYZs in the deck too. So you play 1 Gallant Granite, which is just Rhoda for your entire deck for the most part. You play 1 copy of Excite Knights. We are not playing Fiendsmith cards in this deck, but it offers a way to clear the board, and it pairs really well with cards like Zeus. We are playing the Spriggans package and 1 Merrymaker. Merrymaker is the bridge to Sargus. Sargus is the bridge to Regulus. Also, this card is kind of good going seconds because you essentially make a 4 material... Let's make a 4 material Zeus, is basically what I'm getting at. It also has another effect where if you detach, or if you have another XYZ, it can pop a card. Randomly just comes up. You don't have to detach for that either, which is an insane effect, by the way. Found that out playing Xavier, so shout out to him, I guess. And then Zeus, best way to go second. And then Most Maiden Link is your cross sheet. You do it in a lot of your combos. You put a lot of fusion monsters on board, so you get the Reborn effects a lot. It comes up a lot. You play 1 copy of IP Masquerena as a board piece, 1 copy of SP Little Knight, which is typically getting something off during your turn, or You can also make Gorgon of Zilophonia, I think it is, or however you pronounce it, I don't know. Card's actually, like, surprisingly good. It pairs really well with IP Masquerena, and it randomly does out cards like Liger and stuff like that. Honestly, it's a really good interruption in general, to be honest with you. And then I also play one Underworld Goddess of the Curse World. I do find this deck does have an interesting time getting over, like, non-targetable, can't be destroyed, or just bigger boards in general. This is a nice way to deal with that, and it's a very hard card for your opponent to deal with. And then we play, like I said, 2 super polymerization targets. We play 1 Garura, Wings of Resonant Life, and we play 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp. And that is it for my Magnet Warrior deck profile. Obviously, you guys can tell me what you think about it. I always do like your opinions. And sometimes you guys give me some really good feedback, and I can actually apply it to actual card play. Like I was saying, I will be in attendance for YCS Columbus, and whether I top or not, or if anyone in our group tops or whatever, I will still profile what I play because I do find it interesting, and it's a way for me to archive any deck that I play. But I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.